In town today at Ball Arena, both Vote and I in attendance for a workout of none other than Kendall Brown, which brings us to our scouting report today for Kendall Brown, a guy that's slated to be available for the Denver Nuggets at 21 and now apparently available at 30 as well. Harrison, why don't you walk us through the scouting report on Kendall Brown?
Okay, so Kendall Brown might be the most athletic player in the draft. Maybe the most athletic player. Many people are saying that. 6'7.5", forward out of Baylor, age 19, projected probably late first, early second rounder right now. He's like a top 1% athlete. He had the second highest max vert at the combine. He is just like jump out of the gym pogo stick type of athlete. His strengths are that athleticism, also his defense and kind of his playmaking upside. His weaknesses are shooting.
Hell yeah.
That's a D-line special. He's just also not the most polished guy. He's a freshman out of Baylor, really young, 19 years old. He still needs to develop his game a lot. But defensively, you get really excited about what this guy could do. He's going to be able to switch 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5 against some lineups. He's got long arms, quick feet. He can block shots. He can read passing lanes. He can be a really disruptive defender. And like I said, if he gets a steal, he's an absolute beast in transition. Like some of the dunks that this guy throws down in transition in the half court, his head is at the rim. Like, I'm not even joking if you go back and watch the highlights. So in transition, he's going to be a beast. In the half court, you could just see him as, fitting into that dunker spot really nicely. He also had some like nice cuts that I saw from the baseline and finishing those at the rim as well. So definitely a role player, I think, but definitely a guy who can add a lot defensively, but still has, ways to go offensively. Really exciting prospect, I think, though. And I think somebody that Denver will look at 21 or 30.
He is, and he's one of the more interesting prospects, I think, in terms of, we talk about it all the time, but when you do the strengths and weakness videos and you watch the strengths, you're like, this guy's incredible. He has the highest swing from strengths to weaknesses. Like when you watch it's one of the widest margins of, you watch one and you're like, okay, I have a sense of this guy. And then you watch the other one and you're like, oh my God, this guy's terrible. So it's a very interesting one. I will say some of the passes that he made, I mean, I'm a big passing guy. Some of the passes that he made, I watch and I go, a lot of these ones, they'll be like, he has passing upside, right? And you'll watch the pass reel and they'll make like the most basic bounce pass to a wide open guy on a break. And you're like, all right, whatever. He made a couple passes that in the reels where I was like, man, that's a really high level pass. Like most guys don't ever get to the level where he's making that specific one. Then you look at the turnover rate per 40 minutes or whatever, it's also sky high. And some of the turnovers are such bad turnovers that you're like, who am I watching here? Like, what the hell was that? 3 steps or throws it like 12 feet too high to a wide open guy. So he has a really confusing strengths and weaknesses because sometimes it's the exact same thing. Same thing with defense. You watch some of the clips, big guy against a guard, switch out on guard, locks him up, contests the shot, plays disciplined defense, does a great job. Then he has other ones where he gets blown by so bad you think he's like stuck in cement. So to me, the inconsistent part is so big to me because you see inconsistencies where strengths are also weaknesses, like the same thing. And you're like, wow, this is weird.
Yeah. I watched him too for a while. Like I was actually really surprised by his passing. Like he would drive the lane and like have a lot of dishes,
one hand
wide open guys. Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of like getting guys open, like throwing them over defenders. Like the one thing I was like really struck by with him is how slow his shot is. It's like
he needs to like completely rework his shot.
Yeah,
like, that is a really big work. Shot. Yeah, that's a big project for
today.
Maybe Ryan Saunders.
Well, yeah, it's funny because some of the stuff, like a lot of the you interview a guy, I feel like you could throw it out. One of the things he said today, I asked him like, what on the scouting report for you? What's the thing that you feel is most misstated? And he's like, my shot. I just wasn't asked to do it, but it's really there. Man, I had the same. No, I watched him go through shooting drills. I'm like, that's not a shooter. Like, so his own analysis of his need to improve his shot to me felt off.
I'm glad Omar did this because I didn't want to derail the show.
Cement.
That is how you said that word.
Yeah. That is your
what? What's
that is your faux word. Cement.
It's gonna be cement or cement. You don't think there's cement? There's cement.
It could be forward or forward as well. I mean,
Woo! All right.
So, can I call this guy a small forward? He's 6'7". Are they
Sure.
Finally, I got one.
let's go, baby.
That's it.
Eric,
That's
I thought you were gonna give your
No,
perspective.
well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I was like moderately. I don't know. After watching this guy, like, he does seem really athletic. Most of the highlights of him are just him getting alley-oops, of him, a lot of like back cutting, a lot of him, which honestly I was like, that actually could be pretty valuable if he's paired next to Nikola Jokic. I can't imagine he would be paired next to Nikola Jokic though. That's the issue.
Things would have to go terribly wrong.
Yeah, they would.
I think Jokic might hate this guy. To be honest, that's like one of my thoughts is I think he might be like constantly annoyed.
Yeah, but he's fast in transition. That's what all of the highlights were showing. Like, he was absolutely throwing down. I mean, I wanted him to to do a little bit more with his dunks. Honestly, he's a pretty basic dunker, dude. The 2-hand dunks. I mean, come on.
That's a weakness for D-line. Not a great dunk package.
Not a great dunker, dude. We need more highlight dunks if you're going to get up that high.
I mean, physically, he sounds like the prototype, right? Of what Denver's looking for, just in terms of the build. But it does sound like there are a lot of, is this all going to come together at the next element?
Right.
Aspects.
Yeah.
Of the game.
It's very hard for me to see this guy contributing next season. You know, I'm pretty, if the Denver takes this dude, I'm pretty much writing him off for next season.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? It's a different position, but he kind of almost personality looks. This is a hair comp for sure.
Are you going to say Zeke Naji?
No. This is you guys are going to be out on him when I say it. DJ Wilson. If you guys remember DJ Wilson, I think in the Final Four, he like really stood out to me on how mobile he was. And I remember like reading the scouting report, and it kind of read like this. You know, there's things he does well. And you start talking yourself into like, okay, but he didn't have those skills, but man, he's young and he could already do this without those skills. So at the next level, then you're like, no, he just doesn't have those skills. Like that.
Right.
And I wondered, part of me wondered with Kendall Brown, that same thing. Like, when you watch the tape and you're like, oh, he's a great passer, but the turnovers are there. It's like, well, maybe the passing is like a skill that's not actually translatable to the same degree. And you think, oh, well, he's not a shooter. It's like, well, he's probably just not going to be a shooter. They just have to kind of account for that. And then the defense is the big one, because those things, whatever, you can develop. But the defense is the one where I really wonder how much a player is like they should show some signs. And even that, some of the defense is so high level, but the ones where he gets blown by are like horrible. And you're just like, I don't know what to make of that. So I would say that on the whole, I feel almost a little bit more out on Kendall Brown than I think. He's a name that a lot of people keep sending me, so I was excited to get into the tape. I think I'm a little bit more out on him than the average. You know, a lot of people have been sending him to me.
Would you feel better about him at 30 than 21? Does that make any difference?
Well, 21, I haven't seen him mock that high anywhere. So 21 to me would be like really high. 30, again, is Denver trading 21? Are they taking two guys? He's a prime example of, he was on the roster, I'd be worried about his path, because I'd be like, Denver needs to take 3 years to develop him. He probably needs reps. Where's he going to get those? There's no surviving those minutes while you're trying to contend. So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised at how high he was on people's boards. Meaning Nuggets fans.
Yeah,
like a lot of people have been like, that's my guy.
Yeah. I just think you look at him and you go, oh, he's 6'7" with a 6'11" wingspan. That's what the Nuggets need.
Right.
they need, and he can defend. Oh boy. But yeah, when you look at it a little closer, you go, yeah, he's probably not doing that next season. Maybe the year after that,
right.
Maybe. So it's a little far off for what the Nuggets need. But just watching him, you just get intrigued, because the guy runs the floor like a freaking 100-meter sprinter.
That's what I said about DJ Wilson, though. I'm telling you, man.
But
like,
no, he is way more athletic than DJ Wilson. He is he is a different type of athlete than DJ Wilson, man. Come on.
When he stood up from that chair to walk away, I have to say, like, I'm used to the height and everything, but just the totality of, like, he is a specimen. Like, that's an NBA body right there.
Oh, Mail Form Corner.
Mail Form Corner, absolute specimen.